following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good evening to you wherever you may be. It's Comfortably Zoned Radio, and it's time for Dodgers baseball, a tale of two cities from Brooklyn to Los Angeles. My name is Peter Trunk. My co-hosts are Ron Rabinovitz and Robert Cole. Ron, how are you?
Good. How are you, Peter?
I'm doing very well here. I'm doing very well. How's Minnesota treating you?
Great. Wonderful.
There you go. And Robert Cole, how are you?
Doing good, Peter. Is it baseball time yet?
It's almost baseball time. You know, that's why people always question why I look so forward to the Super Bowl every year. And I say that's very easy. Because when the Super Bowl is over,
it's
pitchers and catchers, baby.
That's right.
Pitchers and catchers. That's why I like the Super Bowl. Anyway, let's start off tonight's show. Let's talk a little Brooklyn baseball at first. And I want to get into a couple of things, if you guys wouldn't mind. I want to talk about the Dodgers' final season in 1957. Now, I was during the season of 1957, during that baseball season, in late August the 28th, I turned 11. So I was like 10 for most of the season, and then I turned 11. And that was my strongest season, meaning I probably listened to more games on the radio, watched more games on the television, and attended more games, Brooklyn Dodger games, in that season than in 56, 55, 54 combined. So I really was an avid Dodger fan all through those years, but 57 I remember the best because I was older. And I remember being disappointed. I remember being disappointed that Jackie was no longer there, and we had guys patrolling the outfield named Vallo and Samoli and Demeter, and it for an 11-year-old, it just, I don't know, it boggled my mind. It just boggled my mind. What are your thoughts, Robert Cole? You're about my age. I think you're a year younger than I am.
Right. I was 9 most of the year until the end of July, and then I turned 10. I had the same thing. Okay, 57 was going to be the year that I really got into the Dodgers. Not that I hadn't been, but,
right.
You know, again, fully focused, ready to go. And pretty much right from the get-go, you know, going back to, you know, Jackie being traded, you know, the ballpark being sold. Okay, the new year starts in January, and as far as we knew, Jackie was still going to be with the Giants. And then all of a sudden, you know, the Look article came out, and everybody was up in arms, you know, and Jackie and Buzzy Bavasi got into a war of words about it. In fact, the Chock full of Nuts owner told Jackie, okay, I'll let you play one more year if you want to. Okay, that's all. But just if you want to play for the Giants 1 year, you can play for the Giants 1 year. And then Buzzy Bavasi chimed in that, well, Jackie was just trying to get more money out of Stoneham.
O'Malley.
Right.
Stoneham. Yeah.
And when that happened, you know, Jackie said, I don't care if you're opening the door for me to play one more year, sir, but I've just closed it. There's no way I'll play baseball again. So that's the way things started, and then all of a sudden, O'Malley first bought a jet, you know, a brand new plane.
Yeah.
Asked, you know, the newspaperman asked him, you know, Walter, why a new plane? Well, if there's going to be baseball on the coast, you know, we're going to have to be able to fly there, so I thought we should have a plane.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had the change of the ballparks and the minor league teams with the Cubs, and that gave O'Malley the right play in Los Angeles if he wanted to, although he kept lying and saying he wanted to stay in Brooklyn, and he just needed another farm team. Which we as kids, may have believed, but I know the adults,
Right.
my father and his friends knew that was the end. And basically my father started preparing me for the Dodgers moving even before the season started.
See, I don't know if that's it. I was going to say you're lucky because my father didn't. My father did the opposite, but maybe I was lucky and you weren't. My father kept telling me until the 11th hour, they can never leave. There's no way the Brooklyn Dodgers can leave Brooklyn. It can't happen. Just can't happen. They're playing it. It's a political thing. You'll see at the last moment. They'll do something. They'll play in Jersey City for a while. They'll build a stadium. Something will happen. Don't worry. They're not moving anywhere. And he kept telling me that, and I kept believing it until I saw the L.A. on the caps in the newspaper and on television. I was stunned. I was totally stunned. And just to back up just a little bit, I want to play a little game. And I want Ronnie to chime in here too, because Ronnie knew Jackie Robinson. Your story about January the 5th, when the Look magazine article came out, and Jackie had announced his retirement and told the world officially that he was going to play no more baseball, and he was going to be an executive with Chockfull of Nuts and stuff. And the head of Chockfull of Nuts gave Jackie the go-ahead and said to him, if you wish, I will allow you out of your contract for 1 year, and you could play that 1 year with the Giants. And then Big Mouth Buzzy Bavasi came out and said, oh, see, it's all a sham. He's just trying to get more money out of the Giants. And then Jackie got angry and said, no way, I shut the door and blah, blah, blah. Suppose Bavasi kept his mouth shut. And the head of Chockfull of Nuts said to Jackie, if you want to play 1 more year, I will let you out of the contract for 1 year, and you may have my blessing and play for the Giants that 1 more year. Do you think Jackie would have done it, Robert?
Yes, I really do. I think he wanted to play another year. Another, part of that, just jumping ahead, and then we'll go back to the story, is Jackie started spending a lot of time around the Brooklyn offices during the season. So, when he retired, he reverted back to the Dodgers. He was still the Dodgers' property. And there was a day one of the newspaper men asked Jackie, would you be willing to come back and play the rest of the year if the Dodgers ask you? And Jackie's reply was, well, they know where to get me.
Uh-huh.
So, I have a feeling he probably would
have
played.
Let me ask you, Ronnie, I know Jackie told you that his legs were shot.
Right. He did.
But if Bavasi didn't open his mouth and accuse Jackie of trying to wrangle more money out of Stoneham to play for the Giants, if he didn't say that, and Jackie was just going on what the head of Chockfull of Nuts said, you have my permission if you want to play, do you think he would have played? Robert said yes. I'm asking you the same question.
I would say no.
Okay.
Because his legs were really deteriorating. He would not have been a full-time player.
Oh, no. I know that.
Sure.
And I'm sure Robert knows that too. Robert, he wouldn't have played 154 games.
No way.
He was going to play first base. Okay, number one.
Right.
Play first.
Right.
He was. The idea was for him to room with Willie Mays.
Yeah.
And kind of bring a veteran, leadership to the
Giants.
Sure.
Really didn't
right.
have.
Yeah. To the young
They
kids.
had traded Alvin Dark the year before. So I think, he would have been more of a mentor, played some first base, maybe 90 to 100 games, possibly.
Yeah. That sounds right.
Right. Yeah.
That sounds about right.
I don't know.
I don't know. I also think, of course, we'll never know. Right. I think he would have played too. And it would have been incredible for me to see, and you, to see, and everyone, to see Sal Magley pitching to Jackie Robinson. And Robinson was the Giant, and Magley was the Dodger.
Yep.
Right.
That would have been a hell of an at-bat.
Right.
I'm telling you, man. They would have sold out. They would have sold so many seats. The Polo Grounds would have been packed jammed, and so would Ebbets Field. Would have been packed jammed to see that show.
Yeah. Yeah. He was bitter with the Dodgers, for many years after that. And he didn't want anything to do with the Dodgers until Peter O'Malley reached out.
Yeah.
And with an olive branch.
Yeah.
It was really
before that.
Rachel Robinson.
And Rachel too.
Right.
Got
jockey to, bury the hatchet, so to speak.
Yeah,
right,
stance on that.
Right.
From all I hear from people who know him, Peter O'Malley was a different animal than his father. He seemed to be a much nicer person.
Nicer man.
A much nicer person than his father.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's not just going on what I've read. I've read that in many places, but I've spoken to people that still know Peter O'Malley.
Yeah.
And still converse with him, still talk to him.
Well, Fred Wallen does.
Fred Wallen is one of them, yes.
Yeah.
Fred Wallen is friendly
Christmas
with Peter.
From every year. Yeah.
Yeah.
He
Fred
said he's
Clare,
a wonderful man. And I've heard that.
Fred Clare, the same thing. They swear by the guy. They say he's a great guy.
Yeah.
That's a shame. It really would have been great for baseball, I think, that if in 1957 Sal Magley could be staring down at Jackie Robinson, either at the Polo Grounds or Ebbets Field in a ninth inning where it was 2-2 and there was a man in second or whatever. That would have been a hell of baseball. That would have been just the greatest thing.
That would have been something.
It would have been the greatest thing. But it was not to be because of Walter O'Malley. And
because of
Robert,
O'Malley.
what do you remember? What do you remember either reading or hearing firsthand or secondhand about O'Malley being accused of actually not wanting to win the 1957 National League pennant?
Well, all you really have to do is look at what happened. The only two, every year the Dodgers usually did something, some sort of a trade. They picked somebody up, on waivers that was good. Like when George Shuber retired in '56, they picked up Dale Mitchell.
Yeah.
Dale Mitchell, was their number one pinch hitter, did very well. 2 years before that, before the '56 season, they made that trade to bring Ransom Jackson in.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, was the sign that Jackie was on the way out. In fact, O'Malley told Daisy in '56, after they won the series in '55, to go ahead. He had the permission to go ahead and trade Jackie, and that was the reason why they made the trade for Ransom Jackson.
Yeah.
And traded Don Hoke, Frank Kellert, and Russ Meyer to the Cubs. But Bavesi felt they had a shot to win the pennant, and Bavesi said later that he knew they could not win the pennant without Jackie in '56, and that actually, worked out. So O'Malley basically forced the issue. Jackie had to go before '57.
Right.
Jackie was traded. The only moves that the Dodgers made were they picked up 38-year-old Elmer Vallow and almost 40-year-old Bob Kennedy. Both of them on their last legs.
Yeah.
Right.
Then during the season, let me back up 1 second. The
Go ahead.
Cincinnati Reds always wanted Don Newcomb. A couple of years they made offers for Don Newcomb. Prior to '57, Gabe Paul, who was the general manager of Cincinnati, wanted to make a trade for Don Newcomb. Said, yes, we understand that he maybe has some arm problem. We'll take any responsibility, we'll give you 7 players. Amongst those 7 players were supposedly Smokey Burgess, Roy McMillan, and I believe Gus Bell or Wally Post. Why that was important was Roy Campanella was on his last legs. Okay, his hands were bad. He had a bad year in '56, even though the team won the pennant. Okay, he had an operation. The operation was botched. Okay, he basically had a crippled hand. They really needed a backup catcher. Okay, Pee Wee Reese was on his last legs.
Right.
Okay? Roy McMillan was probably the best defensive shortstop in the National League at that time. Okay, Duke Schneider was having some leg problems. They had an opening in left field. Another outfielder would have been, good at that point. Instead they went with Simoli most of the year. At short, they wound up going with Don Zimmer and Charlie Neal most of the year. This would have been a trade that probably would have gotten them the pennant again in '57.
I think so.
Part of that.
I think so.
That would have improved the team.
You know how ironic that is that Newcomb did wind up on Cincinnati in later time. This isn't really related, but since you brought it up, you brought up Handsome Ransom Jackson. I had the opportunity to interview him. What a swell guy!
Yeah,
what
we were
really nice. What a
nice
great guy.
Nice guy.
Anyway, the thing that wigged me, I did see. We're all baseball fans. We know. We used to get the baseball cards and turn them over, and we'd know all the stats and everybody who was good, who was average, who was really, really good, who was above average, who was below average. We knew all of that stuff as we were kids.
Right.
I was too young. I was only like 5 years old when the Dodgers traded for Andy Pafko.
Mm-hmm.
And I was only 10 years old when the Dodgers traded for Randy Jackson. But I can look back and read all I can now and study all the statistics. I always wondered why neither one of those guys ever came close to their average statistics as a Brooklyn Dodger, especially playing 77 games in Ebbets Field. For our younger audience, younger listening audience, it's almost like when the Mets got George Foster. We all thought, oh my God, we got George Foster.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then George Foster started hitting like Tom Seaver when he came to Shea Stadium. So I never understood Pafko being so under the radar. I remember a headline on the front of the Sporting News 1 year earlier in 1950. Now, I don't remember it because I was only 4 years old, but I certainly remember it looking at old issues, and it said that there was a trade in the works, Pafko for Snyder.
Oh. For Snyder?
Straight up. Pafko for Snyder. And then 1 year later, they get Pafko. He doesn't do anything, really.
Nothing.
Not to write home about. And then Randy Jackson, who's like a 25 home run guy, 80 RBI guy out in Chicago, comes to New York and Brooklyn, and he hits like 8 home runs and drives in 41 runs. What the hell? I couldn't understand it.
Well, with Randy Jackson, you have to remember in '56, he hurt himself real bad. He was pushing his car. His car had stalled, and he was pushing his car, and his hand went through a headlight.
Right.
And he cut his wrist very badly. And
that's what happened. That's the same.
He was on the list for quite a while.
The same horrible accident that happened to Dick Allen.
Right.
Pushing a car, and his hand went through the headlight, and he cut himself badly.
So in '56, Jackson didn't get to play much of the year. Then again in '57, he was injured for much of the year. He had a bad knee. In fact, Peter, if you remember, listen to a couple of the Dodger broadcasts that we still have, and we can go. In fact, the Cub one when Koufax had a no-hitter going into the seventh inning.
Yeah. And all those strikeouts.
Yeah. Well, they in the beginning when they were talking about different players, they mentioned that Randy Jackson had hurt his knee again and might have to go under the knife.
Yeah.
So he had a bad knee.
How old was he then, Robert?
Excuse me?
Approximately how old was Randy Jackson?
He was probably 29 or 30.
Oh, he was. Okay.
He wasn't tremendously old.
No. Okay.
He should have been in the prime of his career, actually.
Sure.
And that's what they were getting when they made that trade, because they traded Don Hoke, who was a good fiery ball player. Two other players, to get him. So they thought they were getting.
Who won a ring, by the way, in Pittsburgh? Yeah. Another ring. Hoke won another ring in Pittsburgh.
That's right.
Yep.
1960.
The thing that makes me smile is that Duke Snider was relatively, for all intents and purposes, Snider was washed up at a very, very early age. The newspapers and the magazines, Sport Magazine, not Sports Illustrated, but Sport Magazine, used to cry all the time on how old the Dodgers were. The Brooklyn Dodgers are decrepit. They're old. Snider turned 31 on September the 26th of their final year in Brooklyn. He was 30.
He was still young.
Snider was 30 years old. He wasn't old.
Yeah.
He just had a bum knee.
Yeah,
he had a bad knee. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember in 1957, Snider had 38 home runs in the final day of the season. Final game at Ebbets Field. Not the final game of the season, but the final game at Ebbets Field. He had 2 home runs. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he hit them off of Robin Roberts. Numbers 39 and 40.
Yeah,
to
but
make it 5 years in a row with 40 home runs.
Yeah, that wasn't the final game, though, Peter. That was
that was his final game, I think. Whatever.
Final game. Brooklyn.
The final game the Dodgers played at Ebbets Field, Snider did not appear in the game.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was the 2-0 game against Benny Daniels.
Right.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
Just
against
jumping
Pittsburgh.
back to Andy Pafko for a second too, Peter. Pafko
Yeah.
actually had a decent year in 52. The Dodgers in 52 probably had the best 8-man everyday lineup in baseball
Absolutely.
history.
Absolutely.
You had Hodges at first, Jackie at second, Reese at short,
Pee-wee.
Cox at third, Pafko in left, Snider in center, Furillo in right, Campy catching. I mean,
right.
You just
He
couldn't.
had a great lineup.
Yeah, you had 8 All-Stars in essence.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
Pafko in that lineup, did not shine, but he had a decent year. I think he had 20 home runs. He played a very good left field, made a couple of spectacular catches in the 52 World Series.
In right field.
And
he made his spectacular catches in right field in the World Series.
In fact, that one World Series game, Carl Furillo made a great catch in right field.
Yes.
And they switched them. Pafko right, so to left.
Yeah.
Pafko made a great right field.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And you know what? Many, many times I've seen that picture of Pafko jumping up and robbing, I believe it was Johnny Mize, robbing the home run in front of that short fence. And all of the people who post that picture say it's Furillo.
Yeah.
And I got sick and tired. After a couple of years, I got sick and tired on Facebook saying that's not Furillo, that's Pafko. And they were, no, it's not Pafko. Pafko was a left fielder. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay, fine. Great.
Yes.
Whatever. Just like when they say that Jackie was out at home plate. I mean, Yogi Berra committed the most egregious catcher's balk in the history of baseball. Right. He was standing in front of fucking home plate before the ball hit his glove. Right. Give me a break.
That's right.
So stupid.
And all Frank Heller had to do was swing his bat
That's all he had to do.
Yeah.
touch Yogi.
Yeah.
I mean, and it would have been called. So.
Yeah.
Or keep his mouth shut when the game was over.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Dodgers traded him a week after he said, "I think Chucky was out."
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Right after the World Series.
They got rid of him
They
real
traded.
quick after
Yeah.
that shit.
Real quick. Yeah.
But I'm not certain of any of the 52 statistics, but I know in the World Series, I was only 6 years old, so I didn't really follow the 52 World Series, but I would have been heartsick because the Bums were up 3-2.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Going into the 6th game. They lost both the 6th game and the 7th game.
Yep.
It would have killed me. And
they had great fans that year.
And the next year they win 105 games and score 955 runs. The Dodgers do, and they lose like in 5 or 6 games.
Yeah.
And in '52, you have to remember too. Don Newcomb was in the Army.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he
True.
He couldn't pitch that year. That
True.
was the year that Gil Hodges had that horrific slump, and then Charlie Dressen made one of the dumbest moves of all. Okay, the Dodgers.
Wait a minute. Charlie Dressen made a dumb move?
Yeah,
I
know.
know. But in that
I never heard of such a thing.
Yeah, right.
Game 7 of the '52 World Series. Okay,
Yeah.
In the 9th inning, Gil Hodges, horrible slump, but he had hit a couple of really long fly balls, one a sacrifice fly that game. He pinch hits Rocky Nelson for Gil Hodges.
Unbelievable.
Rocky Nelson.
To this day, because you can watch that game on YouTube, the Game 7.
Sure.
52.
Yes, it's on YouTube.
Yeah, and I still yell.
Rocky Nelson.
When I watch
Yeah.
that.
Terrible.
Yeah, but I know it's hard to believe Charlie never made any mistakes.
Oh,
Never.
no, never.
Never. And Trump never told a
Jackie
lie.
loved him, by the way. Jackie loved Dressen.
Yeah, well, you know what? A lot of ball players love a manager that lets them do anything they want. I talked to Duke Snyder throughout my life. I spoke to Duke Snyder, a minimum of 5 times, maybe 10 times. Wherever he was appearing, I would go. And I asked him a million questions and stuff like that. And his favorite of all time was Dressen also. And I was too young. I was like in my 20s or 30s to ask him why. And then after finding out what a dick Dressen really was, I mean, he thought he was Leo DeRocher, but he always wanted to be Leo DeRocher. I wonder why ball players like managers, and I'll tell you, they praise them in the press, they pat them on the back, they let them do what they want to do, and that's probably why they like them the best, It's not like they were the greatest manager in the world, or,
It's just like, get out of the way, let us play.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, Dressen
like that in '52, they didn't need much help.
No, they didn't.
No, he just had to write out the lineup for the most part.
Yeah.
Right.
51, he made a lot of mistakes. 52, 53, and his greatest saying was, "Just hold them, boys, and I'll think of something."
I'll think of something.
Yeah.
Keep it close. I'll think of something. Robert Cole, why do you think after Dressen was shown the door, why do you think Pee Wee Reese turned down the offer to be player manager?
Well, from what I heard, from several people, was that Buzzy Bavasi called Pee Wee and said, Pee Wee, we're going to need a new manager. So I have to come and ask you, but I'm sure you're not going to want it, but I have to ask you anyway, do you want to be the manager? And when he put it that way, I'm sure you don't want it, but I have to ask you anyway, Pee Wee.
A leading question.
Yeah.
Puig just felt that they didn't want him to be the manager.
Yeah, a leading
Right.
question.
Yeah.
Well, let's play another game. We played a game a few minutes ago about Jackie playing first base for the Giants in '57. Let's play another game. Let's say they hired Reese as the manager. Good move,
Right.
bad move? What do you think would have happened?
I think it would have been a good move. I mean, he certainly was knowledgeable.
Oh,
But,
absolutely. But the thing is, I think they would have expected him to be a player manager.
Yes.
Right.
He certainly, that would have been very, very difficult
Right.
for him to do, doing both jobs. He would have definitely had to have somebody, another manager in the dugout, basically while he was playing.
Yeah. I think he would have gotten the respect of all of the teammates, though.
Yes, he would.
I think everybody loved Pee Wee. I don't think there was ever a Dodger that didn't like Pee Wee.
No. He was a team captain too.
He had their respect, absolutely, but I think
absolutely.
on his part, it would have been hard because he was, he wasn't that kind of a guy. He wasn't all of a sudden the kind of guy, like Gil Hodges. Okay, now Gil went to a different team, but he was able to go right from playing to managing.
Yeah.
Right.
And he had a whole different demeanor about him.
Yeah.
I mean, he was that tough Marine.
Yeah.
He had a way he wanted to do things.
Yep.
Right.
He was a buddy, but he wasn't a buddy. Kind of thing. I think
Yeah.
Joe
Yeah.
himself would have had some difficulty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that the players wouldn't play
probably right.
for him, not that they wouldn't respect him.
No.
But I
I get it. All right, let's
Yeah, I do too.
leave beautiful Brooklyn, unless you have a couple of more things to add. Anybody, either one of you guys?
No, I
Want
don't.
to say anything else more about the Brooklyn Dodgers? I was going to move it out to the West Coast before we.
We'll pick up the '57 story again.
Okay, cool. All right, that's good.
Okay.
Let's take a jet. Let's take that O'Malley jet out to Chavez Ravine. Let's talk a little bit about the. Let's talk about the Los Angeles Dodgers just for a couple of minutes before we leave the air. I think that the Dodgers parted ways a few years ago with. I hate to use the word icon, but I'm going to use it anyway. Sort of an icon when they got rid of Kemp. And then, of course, we all know the story. He came back. He lost 30 pounds. He had a new attitude. They got him back and blah, blah, blah. And now they're trying to jettison him again because of his salary. Right. And it reminds me sort of like when it was time for Andre Ethier to go.
Yeah.
Andre Ethier was loved by Los Angeles Dodger fans. He was a true icon. And when it was time for him to go, a lot of class he showed, and he just quietly went. He's sort of writing on the wall, and he went. He didn't go kicking and screaming. He didn't go bad-mouthing anyone. You didn't see anything in the press. But now it seems as if the Dodgers, once again, are trying their darndest to not only unload Kemp and his salary, but the mercurial Yasiel Puig seems to be on the block and is rumored to be going. You hear the Twins, you hear the Cincinnati Reds, you hear all over. You even hear the Giants. You even hear the San Francisco Giants.
Yeah.
As a place where he may wind up. Although the Dodgers and the Giants haven't made a trade of any magnitude since 1953.
Right.
They really don't trade. But anyway,
now, Peter, I heard from a very reliable source.
I know what you're going to say. You called me last night.
Yeah. Yes, I did. That there's a big trade in the works, a three-team trade. The Minnesota Twins, the LA Angels and the Dodgers. And the only piece of that trade I know about so far is that Puig is going to Minnesota.
Okay.
I don't know any other player. Yeah.
That would be a good place for him.
I don't know any other players involved who's going to get what, or it's not been told to me yet. But supposedly, that one is a slam dunk deal already. So I don't know.
Well, I saw another slam dunk, if I can borrow that term from you, Ronnie.
Yeah.
I saw another slam dunk that someone said that the Dodgers have signed Bryce Harper, and they haven't announced it yet because they're going to front load his contract in that he's going to make over $40 million a year for like 3 years, and then they're going to buy him out, or he's going to buy them out, or he's going to leave early and he's going to become a free agent again, and that the deal is already done, and we just don't know about it. So there are strong rumors. I'd like to make a comment, if I may, about Yasiel Puig. When I first saw Yasiel Puig, when he first came up, I thought I was seeing the next Roberto Clemente. I mean, this kid, he could do everything and do it well. He was aggressive. He was just electric.
Yeah.
He was unbelievable.
Right.
Yeah, he was.
Then, of course, we all know what started to happen. He started to get his head screwed on the wrong way.
Right.
He turned off.
Hollywood got
He turned off. He turned off some of his teammates. Some of his teammates turned on him. He was an asshole, and he did this, and then he started to show up late for games. He started to miss meetings. He started to do all the crazy negative things, and then he got on his knees and begged forgiveness and turned over a new leaf. But all of a sudden, he wasn't the same baseball player. He wasn't. He was missing the cutoff man. When he was at first base and there was a slow ground ball to third, he wasn't going first to third anymore. He wasn't doing all the exciting stuff. He was doing bonehead stuff.
Right. And poor base running.
Then he had another run in with a teammate, and with the manager, who since has gone to Miami, and then he made amends again and started kissing his bat, kissing the batting coach, and kissing his teammates, and playing pretty good ball again. And now all of a sudden the Dodgers lose 2 World Series in a row. Not his fault by any stretch of the imagination, either one of them. But all of a sudden they're adamant about getting rid of him. I don't really understand it, although let me put a footnote on that. I'm not against getting rid of him. I'm not saying please do not trade Yasiel Puig. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying why now? Why? I don't get why now. I could see if they traded him 2 years ago. I would understand that. I don't understand them trading him now. What are your thoughts, Ronnie? What are your thoughts on that, Ron?
I think it's the salary, and that he's going to have a free agency next year, I think. I think that's what that is. There might be some underlying things there, but I think he's a hell of a player still. He's exciting. He's different, certainly, but he carries. I think once he was sent down to the minors, he got a real wake-up call. Yep. And if you recall, when he came back in September, he was doing very well, and through this year, he's done pretty well. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. If it was up to me, I'd say keep him. But I don't know what. There must be some underlying things going on.
I think you're right with the money, Ronnie, and I think especially if you plug in the fact that Bryce Harper is going to be signed, the Dodgers just got fined for being over the luxury tax.
Right, they did.
Already, okay, to take on Bryce Harper, and if what Peter says is true, and I have no reason not to believe it, and it's going to be front loaded, they've got to dump some salary. And
right.
Puig, you got to get Puig out of there. He may not be making all that much this year, but free agency and stuff like that. And then Kemp, and
right.
just something about Kemp. Kemp has been a good soldier. Kemp
Yes,
went
he
to
has.
Atlanta Dodgers expecting to be cut. Yet he
right.
showed up at spring training last year in the best shape he's been in probably 10 years.
Right.
Worked his butt off. Played his
he
butt
did.
off. Okay.
He sure
He's
did.
the all-star team. Okay. Did
Yep.
nothing wrong. And the only thing wrong is the fact that he's getting paid big bucks.
The salary. Yeah. The salary. Yeah. Yeah.
So I
mean, he was comeback player of the year.
And I think that's your answer why,
and deservedly.
Out,
deservedly.
And that's why they haven't been announcing
right.
the Harper deal yet, if in fact, it's been made.
Well, you know what?
That
everything
Harper deal was done.
Robert Cole, you're a year younger than I am, but you're old enough to know that even slam dunk rumors can turn out to be false rumors. Remember, Alex Rodriguez was a Boston Red Sox.
Right.
He was officially a Boston Red Sox. Alex Rodriguez.
The next thing you're going to tell me is there is no Santa Claus, and Donald Trump is the best thing that ever happened to America.
Right. There you go.
There you go. Those are the next two things. You read my mind, man. You read my mind. It might be a slammed up, but okay, let's play fantasy one more time before we leave the air.
Okay.
We'll play fantasy one more time. The Dodgers get Bryce Harper. The Dodgers get JT Realmuto. The Dodgers get either Britton or Andrew Miller. Okay? Do they win 110 games and laugh their way through the World Series and win it?
Not necessarily.
Aha!
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily so. It ain't necessarily so.
No.
Good name for a song.
I don't think they're gonna get Realmuto either.
Well, to get Realmuto,
their asking price is too much.
Trade, okay, number one.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to give up. Jeter's been adamant that at least one and preferably two ready-to-play major league players have to come in.
Here's what I heard on that front. This is what I heard. You're right, Robert Cole. This is what I heard on that front, that if the Dodgers give up Alex Verdugo, and Ruiz, who is a very young catcher going to start to play AAA next year, if they give up Verdugo, Ruiz, and who is it? Oh man, I just read this a couple of hours ago.
There was somebody else,
but someone else that they could get JT Realmuto. It's got to be Verdugo. It's got to be they dropped Bellinger out of the
right.
Miami said okay. We can't have Bellinger. We want Verdugo. We want Ruiz, and there's another guy. It's not.
Was he a minor league guy or?
It's not Urias. It's a young pitcher, I think.
Oh yeah.
A guy in the minors, but he's really supposed to be really, really good. Can't remember his name. As soon as I hang up the phone and we say goodnight, I'm going to remember his name. But anyway, that's the latest on that. So all I'm saying to you is this: if the Dodgers get Realmuto and they get Harper, and in getting those two guys only, and I put quotation marks around the word only, and they only lose Verdugo and Puig as the principals, they're a much, much better ball club. And right now, they're the best ball club in the National League West and probably in the National League period. I get some arguments from Houston and maybe from some Wrigley fans, but I think the Dodgers are the strongest team. And if they get Realmuto and Harper, you can forget about it.
They need pitching. They need another.
Of course they need pitching. Of course they do. But what I'm saying to you is, wait a minute. Picture this, if you will, gentlemen. Try not to laugh me off the phone here. Let's say they get Kluber. They get Kluber, Real Muto, and Harper. Do they win 125 games?
Yes.
Do they call off the World Series and just give them the trophy? I mean, we can get really crazy here. It is Christmas time, and I have not been drinking, Robert Cole. This is all.
You didn't get into the shaver?
These are all off the top of my head, sober as a judge.
When we get all three of those guys, I'll be my mouth will be watering.
You want to know something? Being a Dodger fan, I'm still residually a Dodger fan, although I root for the Mets and the Boston Red Sox. But I pull for the Dodgers pretty strongly. If they get one of those three guys, either Harper, Real Muto, or the pitcher from Cleveland, they're in good shape. They're in real good shape. All they need is one of them.
Well, they need pitching. They still need pitching.
Yeah, you watch Bueller. Watch Bueller break out like Don Drysdale next year.
Yeah,
you might not need as much pitching as you think you need.
Yeah, and they'll have Urias probably. He'll be good.
Kid's always getting hurt though. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
He gets hurt when he brushes his teeth. Anything else you guys want to say? Anything to add?
Just have a good holiday, gentlemen.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
You guys do the same. Stay healthy. Now, our next show is scheduled for the night after Christmas. I'm going to ask you on the air. It's no problem for me. Is it a problem for either one of you?
No problem for me.
No problem for me.
Okay, so let's do it. We'll do it on December the 26th. We'll have another show.
Okay.
Tale of Two Cities, from Brooklyn to Los Angeles. And happy Hanukkah. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. That's right.
And all I need you guys to do is to stay healthy and stay safe. Okay?
And you too. Okay.
All right, that's a promise now.
Okay.
Okay, Robert and Ronnie, good night, gentlemen. Thank you for a great show.
Good night.
Good night,
Robert. Good night, Peter.
The proceeding was a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production. Thank you for listening.